There are 9 behaviors that instantly kill attraction with women, and I guarantee you're doing at least 3 of them without even knowing it. What's devastating about these mistakes is that they seem like the right thing to do. They appear polite, considerate, or romantic, but they actually trigger psychological responses in women that make them lose interest immediately. Understanding these mistakes isn't just about avoiding what doesn't work. It's about understanding the deeper psychology of attraction and why certain behaviors that seem positive actually communicate weakness and neediness to women. The first mistake is oversharing personal information too early. Most guys think that being open and honest about everything creates connection, but there's a crucial difference between being authentic and dumping your entire life story on someone you just met. When you immediately tell a woman about your past relationships, your family problems, your work stress, or your personal insecurities, you're not building trust. You're creating discomfort. She doesn't know you well enough yet to handle that level of emotional intimacy, and it makes her feel like you're using her as a therapist rather than getting to know her as a person. Mystery and gradual revelation create intrigue. When you share everything immediately, there's nothing left for her to discover about you. Save the deeper conversations for when you've established a foundation of attraction and comfort. The second mistake is constantly asking for validation or approval. This shows up in phrases like, "Is that okay with you? What do you think I should do? Do you like my shirt? Am I being too forward?" These questions might seem considerate, but they actually communicate that you don't trust your own judgment and need her permission to feel confident about your choices. Women are attracted to men who have their own internal compass and make decisions based on their own values and preferences. When you constantly seek her approval, you're essentially asking her to be responsible for your confidence, which is an exhausting burden that no woman wants to carry. The third mistake is trying to solve all her problems immediately. When she mentions being stressed about work, having an argument with a friend, or dealing with any kind of challenge, most guys immediately jump into problem-solving mode. They offer advice, suggest solutions, and try to fix everything she's dealing with. But here's what most men don't understand. When women share problems, they're usually not asking for solutions. They're sharing their emotional experience and want to feel heard and understood. When you immediately try to fix everything, you're missing the emotional connection she's trying to create, and instead making her feel like you don't think she's capable of handling her own life. The fourth mistake is being available all the time and responding to messages immediately. This seems like being attentive and interested, but it actually communicates that you have nothing else going on in your life and that she's your top priority before she's earned that position. When you're always available, always responsive, and always ready to drop everything for her, you remove all challenge and mystery from the interaction. She starts taking your attention for granted because she knows it will always be there whenever she wants it. Having your own life, your own priorities, and your own schedule is attractive because it shows you're a complete person with or without her. It also makes your attention more valuable when you do give it. The fifth mistake is agreeing with everything she says to avoid conflict. Many men think that constant agreement creates harmony and shows they're easy to get along with. But when you never disagree with anything, never challenge her opinions, and never express contrary viewpoints, you become boring and predictable. Women are attracted to men who have their own thoughts, opinions, and values. They want intellectual stimulation and someone who can engage in meaningful discussions, even if that means occasionally disagreeing. When you always agree with everything, you're not being genuine, and women can sense that inauthenticity. The sixth mistake is putting her on a pedestal and treating her like she's perfect. This shows up when you constantly compliment her appearance, agree with every opinion she has, and act like everything she does is amazing. While compliments are nice, excessive praise actually creates distance rather than connection. When you treat someone like they're perfect, you're creating an unequal dynamic where she's above you and you're below her. This imbalance kills attraction because it positions you as a fan rather than an equal partner. It also creates pressure on her to live up to your idealized version of who she is. The seventh mistake is trying to buy her affection through gifts, expensive dates, or constantly paying for everything. Many men think that spending money on a woman shows they care and can provide for her, but when this becomes the primary way you express interest, it sends the wrong message. Excessive spending early in a relationship can make women feel like you're trying to purchase their affection rather than earn it through your personality and connection. It can also attract women who are more interested in what you can provide than who you are as a person. Generosity is attractive when it comes from abundance and genuine care, not when it comes from insecurity and the need to prove your worth through your wallet. The eighth mistake is having no boundaries and accepting any behavior from her. This might seem like being understanding and flexible, but it actually communicates that you don't value yourself enough to have standards. When you accept being canceled on last minute, tolerate disrespectful behavior, or allow her to treat you poorly without addressing it, you're teaching her that your time and feelings don't matter. This doesn't create appreciation, it creates a lack of respect. Having boundaries doesn't mean being rigid or unreasonable. It means knowing what you will and won't accept, and being willing to communicate those limits calmly but firmly when necessary. The ninth and most damaging mistake is making her the center of your universe before she's earned that position. This shows up when you cancel plans with friends to spend time with her. Stop pursuing your hobbies and interests and basically reorganize your entire life around her schedule and preferences. This behavior is suffocating and unattractive because it puts enormous pressure on her to be responsible for your happiness and fulfillment. It also makes you less interesting as a person because you've abandoned all the things that made you unique and engaging in the first place. The most attractive men maintain their own lives, friendships, and interests while allowing space for a woman to become part of that life. They don't abandon who they are, but they invite someone to join them in the life they've already built. Now, here's what's important to understand about all these mistakes. They all stem from the same underlying issue, which is seeking validation from women instead of having your own internal source of confidence and self-worth. When you overshare, you're seeking emotional validation. When you constantly ask for approval, you're seeking decision validation. When you're always available, you're seeking attention validation. When you agree with everything, you're seeking acceptance validation. When you put her on a pedestal, you're seeking worthiness validation through association. The pattern is clear. All of these behaviors come from a place of neediness and insecurity, rather than confidence and self-assurance. And neediness is one of the most unattractive qualities a person can display because it creates pressure and discomfort for the other person. Women are attracted to men who are complete and confident on their own, not men who need them to feel good about themselves. When you avoid these 9 mistakes, you're not just changing your behavior, you're demonstrating that you have your own source of confidence and don't need her validation to feel secure. This shift in mindset creates a completely different dynamic in your interactions with women. Instead of trying to convince them to like you, you're evaluating whether they're worthy of your time and attention. Instead of seeking their approval, you're offering them the opportunity to be part of your already fulfilling life. Understanding these mistakes is just the beginning. The real transformation happens when you develop genuine self-confidence and self-respect that makes these needy behaviors unnecessary. When you truly value yourself and have a fulfilling life, independent of any woman's opinion, you naturally avoid these attraction-killing mistakes without having to consciously think about it. The goal isn't to manipulate women by avoiding certain behaviors. It's to become the kind of man who doesn't need to engage in these behaviors because he has genuine confidence and self-worth. When that happens, attraction becomes natural and effortless because you're no longer pushing women away with needy, validation-seeking behavior. Remember, attraction isn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about being secure enough in yourself that you don't need constant validation from others to feel good about who you are. When you reach that point, women will be drawn to your confidence and independence, rather than being repelled by neediness and insecurity.